Meanwhile, in the Reiner report tonight, several bills are now moving forward after a secretive process that only happens here in California. ABC 10's Morgan Reiner covers all things politics. She's live in the studio to explain. So, what are some of the big ones that made it through, Morgan?
Chris, one of them is the governor's care corps proposal, which pretty much forces those exhibiting mental illness into treatment and housing. Now, this committee, Chris, is also able to just make changes to bills without explanation. And that's what also happened to another big one yesterday. It's a process that political analyst Steve Swat said started in the 1980s. Bills that will cost the state a certain amount of money are sent to the suspense file and evaluated behind closed doors.
There's no public testimony, no recorded votes, and so no public debate.
UC San Diego political science dean Thad Kauser said for a state that's mostly transparent,
it's a way to let legislative leaders kill bills that might be popular but bring real political costs or state fiscal costs. And so there are about 800 bills that went to suspense this year. 200 of them, about a quarter of those bills, just last night died this quiet death.
Let's start with some that made it through. Care Court. It forces the mentally ill into treatment and housing, and since it's Newsom's own idea and has made it this far in the process, Swamp believes it will become law, but not without opposition.
First, it actually compels people into care, and that's something advocates of people who are homeless have objected to. But I think the biggest objections are coming from counties. They hadn't heard anything about this idea until about 4 months ago when the governor announced it, and they would be charged with actually implementing it, with providing all of that housing.
Another controversial bill that passed would require businesses to disclose how much they pay their employees by race, gender, and ethnicity. But that line was taken out of the bill in the suspense hearing.
So what does that bill even do now?
I'm not sure what could be left of that bill. When I was a staffer in the legislature, I was working on a bill. There was an amendment, and it took maybe a week for us to learn exactly what happened to our bill and just how gutted it had been.
Another big bill that passed protects out-of-state families coming to California to seek gender-affirming care for their transgender children. All right, now let's get to some of the big ones that didn't pass. Equally as important, one that would allow prosecutors to sue social media companies for using addicting features that harm children. Now, the decision for that one not to pass comes a week after legislatures spent time at a fancy retreat with big tech lobbyists in Napa. And Chris, we are also learning within the last hour that another big bill that would have decriminalized the use of psychedelic drugs in California did advance out of that hearing, but the senator just found out that one was gutted too and turned into pretty much a study to analyze what that world would look like in California. He says he's going to reintroduce the bill in its original form next year.
Morgan, so many moving parts here. I understand there was also one that would have capped the price of insulin.
Yes, and SWAT found that one particularly interesting. It was actually authored by a Republican, and then it was killed in the suspense hearing, which is dominated by Democrats. Now, the health insurance lobby, to no surprise, fought hard against that one. And for a longer list, you can head to our website at abc10.com.
Well, it was something like 800 bills they were going through today, Morgan?
Yeah, exactly, 800.
A lot to go through. You can head more to our website. Thanks, Morgan.